Welcome back to another episode of Dentside Depot. Today I'm going to show you how to convert a two-wheel drive cab to a four-wheel drive cab in 2 simple steps. So let's get right into it. The cab that we're going to be converting today is my Cummins Swap 79 Super Cab. So here's the tools that you're going to need to do this job. You're going to need a drill, maybe a flashlight, you're going to need a 3/8 bit, you're going to need a Sharpie or a marker of some kind, and you're also going to need either a whizzer wheel, a little saw, or whatever it may be. I'm going to use an air saw today because that makes less of a mess and I'm inside, so whatever tool you want to use that works best for you. First thing you're going to need to do, if you do not have a four-wheel drive trans hump tunnel cover, you're going to need to acquire one of those, preferably with the setup for what you're going to do. Manual trans would have 2 holes, automatic would just have this hole right here for the transfer case. Now, there's 2 steps to do this. This is the first step, and it's by far the most difficult and time consuming. If your truck is a manual truck, all you need to do is acquire a 4-wheel drive trans hump, or just simply cut this hole out here on the bottom, and you can skip this entire step. So here's how I like to do this. First thing is, I like to get this trans tunnel hump cover lined up. Oops. I like to get it lined up here perfectly where I want it to be mounted. I like all the seams all the way around. It'd be pretty nice. You can see it's sitting a little. There we go. That's good. You're probably not going to be able to get it completely perfect, but I feel like that's pretty good. So now that's lined up, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my Sharpie and straight from the top, I'm going to push down and I'm going to mark all these holes going around in a circle. Definitely make sure you have a good Sharpie. And I like to make a nice mark all the way around. I've also done it in the past where I've made a template out of cardboard, but I have found that this method actually works better. I'm not gonna be able to do those top 2 holes. I gotta pull that boot off first. I didn't realize that was in the way, so I'll go back and do that. That one didn't reach, so I'm gonna have to get a longer marker. Go. Okay. All right. So most of my holes are marked. I'm gonna have to go back and get a couple because they weren't long enough, but there you go. So that's what you're looking to do, is make those little marks with your Sharpie. That one looks like it's a little bit off to me, so I might actually go a little bit lower. They should all be centered and more towards the outside of your truck. This one's been dimpled right here. I don't know if someone was already attempting to do that on this truck, but whatever it may be, regardless. All right, so I'm gonna get my drill set up here. All right, now you could certainly center punch these holes. I'm gonna use the tried and true push and pray method, where I just put it on the dot. And I'm just gonna go for it. It's a 3/8 bit, and that's pretty much the exact size hole that you want to see. Right there like that. Let's do another one. Okay. And there you go. That's how you do all the holes. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to get the rest of the holes, and then I'll take you on to the next step. All right, so I got my holes all drilled, my lines marked, and I drilled some entry holes so I can get the tool in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here at this hole with my hole saw, and I'm going to work my way around following the line. It might be difficult to see on the camera here. And it's going to be like, just going to work my way into the line. was getting a little off there. Kind of difficult to do with the camera. Let's start here on this side. Hopefully I can get it a little better this time. I didn't want to go too deep into the end. So I wasn't able to make the turn there either. So I'm going to drill a hole here, and then go all the way across so I don't go too deep into this bottom portion. And then I'm going to work my way all the way up, bring it all the way around, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, I've got my holes drilled. Now the next step is you need to measure from the end of your hole to where you're going to make your cut. For the bottom ones, it needs to be, the sun's kind of glaring there. For the bottom ones, they seem to be roughly almost exactly 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just making a mark that's 3/8 away from the hole. There. There, I know it's hard to see from the glare. The sides are almost always closer to 2. So I'm just holding my ruler above the hole, and I'm just making my mark 2/8 to the left of the hole. You don't want to go too far into the middle of the trans hump, because then the clips won't fit and you won't be able to get the tunnel hump on because the bolt holes will be too tight together. So all you need to do is go around, measure all your outside holes, the 4 or so on the outside to 2/8, the ones on the bottom and the top to roughly 3/8 approximately, and then all I do is I just line up a straight edge. Okay, let's take our straight edge here, go between those 2 points. Just make my mark, just like that. And that's the mark that I'm going to follow for cutting. For this one, I'm just going to freehand. It doesn't need to be an exact science. Just so it looks somewhat close and somewhat rounded is fine. Always err on the side of being able to take more off rather than not having any more to take off. But as long as it's somewhat close, it'll work just fine. Okay, I'm going to mark the rest of this all the way around, and then we're going to make our cut. Alright, so my piece is cut out, all in one shot. Looks pretty good. Now the next thing you need to do is put your clips in. If you don't have clips, you're just going to have to get them off eBay or whatever. You could also nut and bolt it if you really want to, but then you're just going to take your cover. Goes right on. They do have special bolts for those as well. I have tons of them. If you don't have them, you'll just have to get them, or do, you know, get some hardware from Home Depot or whatever. But there you go. That's all you need to do to the actual cab to convert it to get it ready for 4-wheel drive. That is it. It doesn't take anything else. So let's move on to the last step here right away, and we will wrap this video up. There's one other step that you need to take to get your 2-wheel drive body ready to be a 4-wheel drive body. You know what? Forgot my flashlight here. Get the flashlight. All right. Okay, so this is my little blue F100 that I'm using as my example here. And the last piece that you're going to have to do is on your driver's side fender, looking down, this portion right here, it looks like a scalene triangle when you look in at it. That needs to be removed, or obviously you could just use one that came off of a 4-wheel drive truck. You're going to have to cut it right here at the bottom seam so it's flush and flat, and you're going to have to cut it all the way across and all the way down removing all this material so it's completely flat going all the way down. I'm not going to be doing that on this truck because I'm just simply using a 4-wheel drive inner fender, and that'll take care of that problem for me. But cutting the 2-wheel drive fender to fit also works just fine. The reason for doing that is on a 4-wheel drive truck, 77.5 through 79, the power steering box is mounted right here, and it will interfere with this portion. So that is it. We have our cab converted and ready to go up on the lift. I'm going to drop the frame down next. We're going to be putting the brackets in hopefully later today, and we will be moving forward and onward with our Cummins swap. I'm really excited. I hope you see my passion that I have for Dentside trucks. Make sure to subscribe, like, and follow, and we'll see you in the next episode.